Today John is going to do a step-by-step sheet metal build for you.
It might seem like I'm jumping all over the place, but in a way I am, but at the same time, one thing leads to another. So I'm back at the rear of the car. I've put the inner fender in and got that. That was a big one. That was a big one to do because now, you know, I can do lots of other things. But looking back here, this was that plate that was all bent to hell. I had to bang this back to 90 degrees. And just under inspection, they put so many welds along this that by the time I drill these out, etc., this thing would be Swiss cheese. So that just doesn't make sense. And it's kind of rotted here. So I'm just gonna maybe cut it here and rebuild or cut out a new piece here. And that'll allow me to get this piece out more easily, which I can then use for a template to make the new one of these, which is this piece right, the whole thing right here. This nonsense right here is actually part of the fender quarter panel, so I don't have to do that. So let's do that. Let's start by making a template out of tape and just get it done. So step one, lay down enough tape so that it maintains its shape when you peel it off. If you don't put enough tape, because it's flexible, but you don't want it bending. It's okay to bend and droop in this direction, right? But you don't want it flexing this way because you're trying to maintain this shape. So don't skimp on the tape, you know, 5 or 6 layers at least, if not more, depending on what you're doing, so that it doesn't deform. Here's our tape laid out on plate. We'll trace around it and cut it out. All right, let's see how that guy fits. Here, roughly like that. So good, we got good curvature here, it's good. So now I gotta cut the junk out and weld this new piece in. Gotta cut it here and along this edge. And then I'll be able to get this piece out and trace it for a new piece. Well, I'm happy to announce I got this bad boy out of there. Everything is really thin and kind of rusted, so this small flange here I'm gonna have to replace it. There's just no way I could get the rivets out. So this little piece is actually a little more interesting than you would expect because other shapes fit against it very tightly. Well, certainly I got to get this curve right to match that sheet metal flange that I'm replacing. This is the outside of the vehicle and it fits relatively close to the inside of the quarter panel, so you want to get that right. And then of course this edge here, this curve here, kind of forms that little bump, you know, below the rear tail light. So that stuff's got to be pretty accurate to pull it all in correctly. So what I'm going to do is cut to the outside of my Sharpie line, and then I'm going to grind it back to the inner edge just to get this piece a little more accurate.
I love those Hollywood special effects you're generating.
So here's my two pieces. Put it in place. I got to clean up some stuff. I got to straighten out some of the flanges that got bent during the extraction up here. And then cutting this edge, just clean up those edges, get them ready, sanded, get the paint off, prepped for welding. I gotta make some holes. Not sure which side I'll do this on. I can actually do this to this. I could do it before I weld it to here. I'm not sure. Let me think about this a little bit. I need a couple of holes for plug welds, and then we're good to go. I've just been tidying up, like I said. I got this flange a little straighter. I'm gonna work in this area, and then I was looking at this right here, and it's like, oh, that's a interesting feature. So I went to the other side, and of course, now this is supposed to be flat across here. So this is part of that same issue where this whole quarter panel must have gotten sat on by an elephant or something to push it down all the way. Kind of starting here, just push this whole flange down, and this and this. So I am going to straighten this out and just hope that when it comes time to put the quarter panel on, I am not just F to the max by just stuff being out of crazy. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm getting a little paranoid, although I'm looking on the other side and it has that, so that's not a feature of the elephant sitting on it. It might have been exacerbated by that, but at least it's supposed to be there. I do have a hoist that I made a while ago. Whoop, there it is. Quite capable of, lots of loads and weight. So I could start chaining this thing and doing things like that if I had to pull it straight, if it was really off. So I'm okay. It's not going to shit can the project, but I don't want to go there. I just don't.
Bye-bye. As always, thanks for visiting with us. See you soon.